Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Football Palestine Extra, where we take everything that's happened in the past week of Palestinian football and give it to you in this nicely condensed video and audio podcast format. For those of you who are new here, we got a lot of subscribers during the Syria game. This is premium content that we provide our paying subscribers. So you, as a free subscriber, will be able to see a portion of this video if you want to see it in its entirety. And you can get this on Spotify as well if you prefer just to have the audio at your disposal. Consider upgrading to a paid subscription. It really helps me do the work of promoting and covering the Palestinian national team. Listen, our free subscribers, we do a lot for them. I think a lot of you maybe came here because you were looking for a link to watch the game, and something we do for all the subscribers, the 1,000 plus. Thank you for the support that we're now above 1,000 total subscribers. Is that we send you links to watch games no matter where you are in the world. So you never are, there on match day wanting to watch the game and then you don't have a way to watch the game. We take care of you. So if you like the service that we're providing, please consider upgrading to a paid subscription. It would really help me out in doing my job. Now, with the kind of housework and announcements aside, we have to actually talk about what's happened this past week because so much has happened this past week. The last time we spoke was just before the Tunisia game, 24 hours before the Tunisia game, I believe. And we were recapping how Palestine beat Qatar, what they would do against Tunisia. And here we are 1 week later in the immediate aftermath of getting the result against Syria that allowed us to top the group. That was a 0-0. And we are in a completely different situation because now we're talking knockout football. Last night, we learned who Palestine will face in the quarterfinals of the FIFA Arab Cup. And the opponent is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia on Thursday, 7 p.m. Jerusalem time at the Lusail Stadium. I think I had announced that it would be at Al Bayt. It's actually at Lusail Stadium. And before we talk about what the Saudi national team represents as far as an opponent and the challenges that Palestine will face in taking them on, I think we have to kind of recap the journey so far. We have to really talk about that Tunisia game because I think that comeback is the reason why Palestine is in the knockout stages. And it was the most improbable. If you told me before that Palestine would beat Qatar, I could see that because we had played Qatar a couple of times and we knew that there wasn't a massive gap in level. And quite frankly, Qatar is a team that's a little bit unbalanced, right? But if you had told me that somehow Palestine would be in a game against Tunisia, they would give up two really bad goals. The one thing that Palestine could not afford to do was give up a goal off a set piece. They did. And then to really make the situation worse, they committed an unforgivable error to make it 2-0. How they came back in that game to make it 2-2, the save that Rami Hamad made at the end, at the stroke of full time, to keep it at 2-2 is just incredible. And I think it's one of these moments that will live very, very long in Palestinian football history. And I think that was the key more than anything else. It meant that going into the last game, the way the results had played out, that Palestine didn't need anything more than that 0-0 draw that they got against Syria that sent both teams through to the FIFA Arab Cup quarterfinals. So let's start with that Tunisia game. And I have to say, like, if the first game went to script, and we had spoken about that Ihab Abu Jazar could not have scripted the game any better. Everything that he wanted at every stage of the game happened. The first 45 minutes, the team closed space. Qatar didn't have a lot of chances. It also meant Palestine inhibited themselves, and they didn't have a lot of chances. You go into the second half, Qatar throws on an attacking body, and at Milson, they start to get a foothold in the game. And then you start throwing your substitutions, which were just trump cards. And we talk about how Adel Dabbagh was the mother of all trump cards. He came in, he changed the game. I mean, Salafta also had a big effect on the game. When they had to bring in other players, they came in and they did their part, and they just kept pushing. And even before that last-minute equalizer, that wasn't, a game where it was 0-0 and Palestine just popped up with an equalizer a winner at the end. That was a game where Palestine had one, two, three, four chances after 60 minutes to win the game, and they spurned those chances. And it seemed for the longest time that the narrative would be the same old narrative where Palestine fights and they get a result, and the result is a draw, right? And it's not a sexy draw, it's a 0-0. Nobody really talks about it. If you didn't watch the game, you're just like, oh, it was a 0-0. What's there to celebrate? I guess like Palestine parked the bus and like they got lucky. And Palestine has had those results before, right? We didn't really get as much credit as we deserved for getting two draws against South Korea in World Cup qualifying. We completely destroyed the United Arab Emirates at the 2023 Asian Cup. The game ended 1-1. Although there was complete domination, we went into that final match against Hong Kong, and a lot of football journalists were saying that, like, yeah, Hong Kong is going to find the result, or the result would be a draw. Yeah, Palestine won 3-0. So that was definitely a moment where people stood up and respected the Palestinian national team and what they were able to do. And look, it's the 3 points that, at the end of the day, that's where you got the majority of your points. That first game, 3 points, and it was a base to build off of. Tunisia, I think, represented a completely different challenge because it did not go to script. It went off script very quickly. You don't want to concede if you're an underdog in the first 20 minutes of the game. Palestine conceded in the 15th minute. And they conceded despite the fact that Rami Hamad, in that set piece play, on that corner kick, had a fantastic double save. That was just a fantastic. I think he denied Firas Shawat on the first one, Ferjani Sassi on the second one, and then Omar Layouni just put it in there. I mean, he can't make three saves, right? And you would have hoped that, hey, Mohamed Saleh like would have cleared it a little bit better to safety. That didn't happen. Layouni came in and gave Tunisia the lead. Despite that, I felt Palestine showed, hey, they're up for it. They can actually put pressure on Tunisia. And I didn't think that Tunisia handled the game the way I would have expected a veteran side, and absences aside, right? We can speak about the absences in this Tunisia team. But Tunisia came to Qatar with Sami Trabilsi, the first team head coach. They came with Ali Ma'loul, who is a legend of Arab football and Tunisian football and a two-time World Cup veteran, and perhaps Al Ahly's best foreign player of all time was in that side. Ferjani Sassi, again, another two-time World Cup veteran, a veteran of many African Cup of Nations. Saifuddin Jaziri, like you can go down the list. Mohamed bin Ali Ramadan, you can go down and down the list of names. Yassin Mariah, Ibrahim Jalasi, like all those names, Ayman Dahman, like all of them are names that have been affiliated with the Tunisian national team. So don't come and tell me that this was a B team. I understand that Tunisia didn't have Ilyas Khiri and they didn't have Hanif al Majbari and they didn't have Ilyas Saad. I know all of that information. I know that the back line, more or less, minus Yassin Merah, missing, no Valerie, no Dylan Braun. No, I mean, I know that. But that was a very strong Tunisia side. And if you want to talk about absences, I don't like to talk about absences. There are plenty of absences we can talk about on the Palestinian side. In spite of all of that, given the fact that there is a veteran, strong Tunisia side that was there to do something at the Arab Cup, backed by, I think, probably the largest contingent of foreign fans in the Qatari capital right now. They were there to win the game, and they could not handle Palestine at 1-0. Go into the second half, and Michel Termanini commits a massive mistake, massive mistake. He's in possession. Ravi Hadi goes out. He's like, "Hey, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. Go back to keep, go back to keep," and he just doesn't. And then, like inexplicably, I guess tries to draw a foul. Uh, doesn't work out for him, and that ball ends up at the feet of Firas Shawat, and Shawat finishes it off. I have to mention this super classy move from Shawat. I think Layouni was the same, but it was very obvious from Shawat. He scored. He did not celebrate, which I think, honestly, for me, in spite of the fact that Tunisia is going to be very disappointed to leave the Arab Cup at such an early stage, given the fact that they were finalists in 2021 and came very close to winning it. That was one of the highlights of the tournament and probably like the best moment that Tunisia had at this Arab Cup because they really didn't show up until it was too late. until they were sitting there waiting for a result to go their way because they had beaten Qatar 3-0 in the final game. Tunisia, they showed in the final game that they're a good team, even in this current iteration where they're missing some key players. They showed they were a good team because they completely dismantled Qatar in a fashion that Palestine and Syria didn't really do. Tunisia was showed, hey, we are at this level. Went up 2-0, and then even when they were down a man, got a third goal. So yeah, a good team, and the fact that Palestine was able to come back, it just speaks volumes. But I would also say that it was sort of like a mixture of just this mentality of Palestine saying we will not quit, and then just the amount of running the players did. I think the first goal that got Palestine back into it, it came at the right time because Palestine conceded in the 51st minute. Hamid Hamdan popped up with a goal in the 61st minute, and there isn't a player that deserved a goal more in this tournament than Hamid Hamdan because Hamid Hamdan, through the first three games and you can include the playing game as well against Libya. What a player! What a beast of a midfielder! And quite frankly, if a big Saudi team, if a big Qatari team, if Al Ahli or Zamalek don't come in for him and aren't ready to spend big money to get him from Petrojet, then all the sporting directors in the Arab world should retire because they don't know anything about football. This man has three lungs. He's got the engine of a locomotive. He's got an excellent touch. He can score just long range blasters. Uh, Honestly, I think it's a crime that he made his debut in March of 2025. If this man had made his debut in September 2024 or before that, we are talking about a Palestine team that's at the World Cup, period. Because Palestine would have found at least the one extra point to go to round four. And if they were in round four, as they showed against Qatar, they were able to beat Qatar, they probably would have found a way to make it to the World Cup. So that's how good Hamid Hamdan has been. And honestly, if you're a sporting director and you need a midfielder, you need a box to box guy that's going to just cover every blade of grass, Hamid Hamdan is your man. There is no better player at this Arab Cup at that position. Period. I don't want to hear it. Period. That is not subjective. That is 100% an objective fact. So him scoring that goal that brought Palestine back into it, a corner kick that was delivered in. I mean, Mahajne attacked that ball. It was punched out by Dahman, and then boom, just really, really good contact. Might have taken a slight deflection, or maybe even a couple of deflections, but the ball was hit just so cleanly that you knew it was going to hit the back of the net the moment Hamdan had attached his foot to it. Brilliant goal, and then you could just feel that, okay, it's not over. This isn't about damage limitation. And you also have to kind of give credit to Ihab Abu as well, because you can see the goal like that. It's 2-0. You're playing against Tunisia. Then maybe all of a sudden you think, oh, let's try and not lose by more than two goals, and maybe we can punch our ticket against Syria. He didn't think like that. He went for it, and the team went for it. And at 2-1, they were back in it. And I will also take this opportunity to tip my cap to the three referees that refereed Palestine's playing match. That was Mario Escobar of Guatemala. I forget the Swedish gentleman's name that refereed our match against Qatar. There was Ismail Fath, Moroccan of Moroccan origin but affiliated with U.S. Soccer, who refereed this match. Everything was correct. There's a couple of people saying, "Oh, there's penalty shouts for Palestine." I don't think those were legitimate shouts. He waved them away. He didn't even need VAR. They were all good calls, and there was a flow to the match. And the reason why I bring this up is because I'll bring up refereeing a little bit in the Syria game a little later. That match, when after it was 2-1, it was weird, but you just felt it. You felt that Palestine was going to find another goal. And Tunisia, between the 2-1 and the 2-2, I don't know where they went. I really don't know where they went. Like were scared. I don't even know why they would be scared, to be honest with you. Like, I would have thought they would find a way to counter, to put Palestine under some pressure. The pressure did arrive, but the pressure arrived after the 2-2. And, it came, that second goal came when Palestine officially said, okay, desperation, because they sent on Mustafa Zidane for Hamid Hamdan, which again was the right substitution. You could tell, like,